I'm going to get right to the reading, but just before I do that, I had some thoughts for myself, and my thoughts were focused on the Library of Alexandria. I think there was two of them, and what was told to the world was that the information therein was totally destroyed. Uh, because of my own intuition and the research that I've studied up to now, I know that that's not true. And I do know that certain information is maintained amongst either or the secret societies and um, the very wealthy who keep this information in their private libraries. And this relates to certain, how can I say, natural law in terms of the way you think and how you're able to maintain control. So I'm going to keep doing my research. I'm going to keep studying on that. But the more that I do my research, like before, what happened in my case was I always wanted someone to agree with me. I always wanted what I thought to be co-signed or it was not valid. And so I found out that once you begin this walk, you cannot depend on others to see what you see. And then it's up to you to make your thoughts come together in terms of what you manifest. So there's some other things I like to share, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to get right to the reading. Hypnosis exposes the subconscious. First and foremost of the tools with which we are able to reach the subconscious is hypnotism. For through the techniques of this science, we are able to temporarily put the conscious mind out of the way and deal directly with the God power, the infinite intelligence in every man, every woman, every child. The subconscious mind, and the very startling discovery we make immediately is that this subconscious mind reacts entirely by suggestion. In other words, it has no volition of its own. It does not by itself make choices, indulge in arguments, postulate theories, search for answers, wonder at possibilities. It only accepts and acts. Once it is given a suggestion, it immediately sets to work to make that suggestion true, for it accepts that suggestion completely. Now, the unfortunate thing about hypnotism is that its evolution has been such that people tend to regard it as a type of trickery. Those of you who have seen hypnotists work may have been witness to a series of trivia, which, even though it has perhaps confounded you, has nevertheless left you with feelings of charlatanism, or what we would call a con artist act, or even worse, an attitude of so what. You may have seen a man act as if he were a bear, shiver with cold even though the temperature was normal, break into a sweat in the same normal temperature. You may have seen a man put into a cataleptic state in which his limbs become rigid and he resisted great forces or held great weights. Or you may have seen a person unable to resist post hypnotic suggestion by reciting certain poetry on a word cue, picking up a certain object as a result of a gesture, or performing any one of a dozen other pointless acts. Without doubt, the stage hypnotist the- with his theatrics and flair for the bizarre has planted in the minds of his public a definite bar against regarding hypnotism as an experimental science. What few people have suspected over the years is that the subconscious mind not only accepts suggestions as truth, but it has the capacity to make literal truth out of such suggestions. For example, by the simple device of telling a patient under deep hypnosis that he has no feeling in his arm, we are able to affect this condition so completely that his arm may be amputated without anesthetic and he will undergo no pain whatsoever. Moreover, such a patient can be told that when he is awake, all he will have to do to displace all feeling in any part of his body is simply say, the feeling is going away. The day is not too far distant when each person will carry his own anesthetic with him in the form of this simple phrase. Consider how much suffering will be saved during accidents, disasters, and wars when an injured person can immediately allay his pain by simply saying, the feeling is going away. With isolated individuals, such a situation has already become a reality in clinical tests. The cure and prevention of disease may reach undreamed of perfection under the proper use of hypnosis. Cures as startling as those performed by Jesus himself are now being effected by those few who have perfected hypnotic techniques. A young man who from birth had been afflicted by a hideous malformity of the skin, a thick development called elephant hide, and from whom medical science could do nothing, has now a normal skin through hypnosis. How? By the simple expedient of telling him when his conscious mind was out the way that his skin was clearing up. The subconscious mind is everything, contains everything, knows everything, and can do anything. All it needs is the suggestion. All matter, all substance, all knowledge exists within it, and it arranges them according to suggestion. And hypnotism is the first concrete way in which man has been able to reveal and study the workings of his mind. Limitations of hypnosis. Now, if hypnosis can accomplish the cure of disease and the anesthetic aspect of the body, it is reasonable to ask, why is it not more widely used? The answer is that it is coming to be, but so shrouded in superstition and ill repute is this science, so fraught with misunderstanding and malpractice, the scientific minds have been reluctant to put it into wide usage. More than that, the scientific studies of the subconscious mind have revealed an instrument of such astounding power that scientists have hesitated to reveal anything of that about which they know so little. Nevertheless, hypnotism is coming into increasing popular use in medicine. Now, where does the power of this subconscious mind cease? If you tell a sick man's subconscious that he is well and he becomes well, if you tell an injured man's subconscious that he feels no pain and he feels none, does this perhaps mean that you can tell an unsuccessful man that he is successful and he will become successful? It most certainly does. It most certainly does. It most certainly does. Given the proper suggestion, the subconscious mind will manifest success from failure, health from disease, prosperity from poverty, friendship and love from loneliness and isolation. For nothing is impossible to the subconscious mind, and it operates entirely by suggestion. From the foregoing, it would appear at first glance that the only thing the world needs to cure its ills is to have one wise and kindly hypnotist put everyone into a trance and then inform them that they are healthy, prosperous, successful, and loved. And presto, the millennium is here. Ridiculous as this may sound, If such a sufficiently enlightened and trustworthy person could be found and some method of effecting the hypnosis could be developed, the millennium indeed would be dawning. But the techniques of hypnotism are a far cry from this development today. Thus far, it has been fairly conclusively proven that with the present techniques of hypnosis, only about 1 out of 5 people can be hypnotized. More than that, a hypnotic suggestion, once planted into the subconscious, will eventually dissipate itself if it is not renewed, so that a hypnotized person who is told he's recovering from a disease will show a definite improvement for a few weeks. But if the hypnosis is not repeated and the suggestion replanted, he will soon relapse to his former state. Why? Simply because his mind contains a conditioned response. The prompter, the prompter, the prompter, which is making him sick. A new conditioned response prompting him to be well has been planted, but this new seed must be watered and tended in order for it to grow. The old seed is a flourishing weed, and its conditioned response, you are sick, you are sick, must be overcome and disintegrated. But regardless of insufficient techniques, hypnotism has revealed beyond all doubt that there is in man a mind with an infinite creative power, and that this mind responds entirely to suggestion. I like to say that again. Hypnotism has revealed beyond all doubt that there is in man a mind with an infinite creative power, and that this mind responds entirely to suggestion. Hypnotism has revealed beyond all doubt that there is in man a mind with an infinite creative power, and that this mind responds entirely to suggestion. I happened to be talking to someone yesterday near and dear to me, and we were talking about the fact that if you have been working out of the improper process of your mind and its capability and what you can and cannot do, the change does not occur overnight, but it does occur. And so presently in my life right now, that's what I am currently going through, and that's what my situation is all about. Techniques of hypnosis. Now you may ask, why is it that a perfect stranger can tell your subconscious when you're under hypnosis that you have no feeling in your arm, and forthwith you have no feeling in your arm, while if you yourself in a normally conscious state say that you have no feeling in your arm, the feeling is just as lively as ever? And this is one of my issues that I was dealing with. The reasoning because of that is that you are not able to accomplish this cessation. And cessation means how can I say, when you stop something. You're not able to accomplish this stopping a feeling because you think as well as speak. You're not simply telling your subconscious that you have no feeling in your arm. You are forming the words in your mind or speaking them aloud. But this thought is accompanied by a dozen others, such as, this is silly. I know it won't work. This is, of course, definitely impossible. Stupid, dumb. It's some straight garbage. In other words, you have so accustomed yourself to having feeling in your arm that even when you say, I have no feeling in my arm, a dozen others of your own thoughts are directed to your subconscious to assure that you still actually have feeling there. There is positively no other explanation for the fact that the hypnotist can accomplish what you can't. The very primary fact that he must put your conscious mind out of the way is all the proof we need. The conscious mind then, being asleep, cannot say don't or it isn't possible. The conscious mind can do nothing, and the subconscious mind seizes on the suggestion of the hypnotist and attempts to turn it into truth. Let me say that once again. The subconscious mind seizes on the suggestion of the hypnotist and attempts to turn it into truth. So, on one of my videos, I was talking about Norman Posner, the gentleman who taught me uh, how to become a hypnotist. Actually, a hypnotist, so I would also call it a therapist. And that's when I got into hypnotic regression. And that did not work out well for me, but I know why it did not. It was because of my built-in prompters. And I don't want to seem totally foolish, but I paid a lot of money. But I learned that was the process. I'm also learning too that if you really want to know something, if it takes money, your time, separation from others to walk your own path, to truly find yourself, it will be worth it, definitely. And that's really partly what these videos is really all about, is for me to follow my own information. And even if I get like one or two, maybe three, because I truly believe that where my life is going at right now, somebody's going to ask me, well, how did you do what you did? When did things change? Was it a date? Was it a moment? Was it an event? Did something happen? And that's the kind of stuff that I'm recording with them myself. Because see, my whole situation is like this. I remember I was talking to someone and they were saying, like when we get together, from our position, when we talk or we communicate, you act as if it's all about you. And so my situation is, I grew up in a type of situation where I had to be focused on what I was doing because I did not have a great deal of support. So I had to focus on myself. And what I found out after doing that was that the only way that I was going to get where I was going was I was, well, let me continue to say what that was the fact that I know deep in my heart that my real reasons for studying so intently is because I've studied Dr. King, I've studied Malcolm X, I've studied as much as I possibly can on Minister Louis Farrakhan. I've studied as much as I can about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I've studied as much as I can about Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I've studied as much as I can in reference to Brother Malcolm X. I've studied as much as I can in terms of Ida B. Wells. I've studied as much as I can about Billie Holiday and what her life was like, and how heroin was introduced in her life. I've studied things extensively, such as the Jim Crow laws. I've studied in reference to just every single thing that I can in reference to why our people are still in the same condition that they're in. So it really doesn't matter whether Biden is in, Kamala Harris is in, doesn't matter if Trump is in, where he come back later, doesn't really matter what's happening in Texas in reference to, you can call it HARP, where they have these different types of machines to control the weather. Doesn't really matter one way or another whether somebody believes me or not. What I found out is that when you walk the path of God and you cry deeply from your heart and from your soul for God to guide you and direct you, no matter how silly or whatever that you become, things change. Another thing I find out is that when you walk with God, right, like the normal stuff that would get the normal person in trouble, you know what I mean, like getting in problems with the police or law enforcement, that's not even part of your 360-degree circle no more, because because God keeps you safe. You know what I mean? So for anybody that's out there and they feel like they're getting it done and so forth and so on, and I want to say this, I happen to run into an individual that when I ran into him, I thought that he potentially could put me on point. Now, based on my research and studying, this person back during between the 70s and 80s, the FBI alleges that his profits or allegedly what he had earned was a half a billion. Well, let's half in that. Let's say it's 250 million. No, let's half in that. Let's say it's 125 million. No, let's half in that and say it's what's that 74.5 million, like 74, like what's that, 74,500,000, right? And when I finally ran into this individual, what he told me, he said, look, bro, he said, I could put you down. He said, I could put you on point, but I want to let you know something. If you mess up, right, the people that's going to come for you, they're going to get your family first, then they're going to leave you alone, and then they're going to come get you. And you have to understand, you really don't understand the game, because the game is grimy. The game is set up so that you're in a negative before you start. So they may put you together on one demonstration, and then they'll send some people out of state that'll fly in, do their thing, and fly out. They'll leave you alive, and then when you go back to the people that allegedly put you together, now you're like, what do you call that? Like your mortgage, like you're, like you owe them so much that you're a slave basically for life until they don't need you no more. And basically, what you become is a stunt dummy. I mean, I ran into a lot of individuals. If it's no more than when I was in the feds up in what's that called, White Deer, Pennsylvania. It's still there. They're locking them up. Diesel therapy still going on. And I actually dealt with some of the individuals that Biggie Smalls uh uh that he would rap about in his video with Lil Kim called the JBM. So the JBM was the Junior Black Mafia. So I ran into some of the guys that were affiliated with that. And it's real. It's real as of this second, right today, right? I remember one of the guys, I'll never forget this. He had about 30 years in the feds. He's clean every day, fresh haircut, the whole nine, right? And so I remember this one day that he was supposed to be released, right? So he's all, getting himself together, giving away his stuff, the whole nine, very likable individual, you know what I mean? Helped everybody out, just a guy had a great heart. So what happened was, as they were packing him out and he was going to the spot where they bring you in at, because that's where they release you from, the feds was there with new charge papers, and they basically gave him a consecutive amount of time with a new charge and basically put him back in the same prison with a different number, with all the paperwork, photos, the whole nine. And I'm not sure exactly how much time they gave him again, but I think it's like maybe like another like 25, 15 years, whatever, right? It didn't matter how much time it was. When he came back into the pod, right, nobody could look at him. Nobody could say nothing. It was one of the saddest things I ever seen in my life in terms of how you totally, how can I say, like, totally crush a man. And these people are methodical. I mean, like it's like on another level. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, it's like this. Anytime that you kill a baby before it's born, or anytime that you make sure that 1 or 2 million people at the very minimum will live lives as drug addicts, or they'll never realize their potential. And this is methodical. This is people who sit at a round table. All of them got doctorate degrees, and they decide what they're going to do. So I have no misunderstanding of what I'm dealing with. I have no, like no pipe dreams, no, you know what I mean? And even when I go on my video and I look back later, see who checked good or bad or whatever, indifferent, and people don't agree with me, that's what being a leader is all about. That's what taking new thought and taking it to the next level is all about. Ain't nobody going to agree with you. You know what I'm saying? There are some people that are happy that things are the way that they are, and then you got some people that really don't want internal self-improvement. But see, in my particular situation, I've had enough. So what I said to myself, what I said, God, I said, I can't handle this situation alone. I made to seem a bad guy to almost everybody that I know. And I'm a lot of times set up in a situation where it's like a cross, like what do you call that? Like catch 22 situation. Darn if you do, darn if you don't. And so this has been going on for a long time, and I thought I could do it by myself. And then it got to a point where I said, well, I know how to connect to the Lord, but I did what I had to do. And then some people will say, well, how do you know if that's some demon that's just talking to you, or how do you know for sure? And this is the only thing that I can tell you from my perspective of self um, direct experience. And that is when I think about my life and everything I've been through, like every point, and be extremely objective about it. I believe, like with certain others, that we have the seal upon us, and individually and collectively, it's up to us to wake up. But the main way you wake up is that you have to call God as a backup, because he is your true father. Yes, you have an earthly father. Yes, you have a father that impregnated your mother, but the individual that is the true father that runs and controls everything, that's God. And once he gets behind you, there's other information that you begin to find out, that what you want wants you. Let me say that again. I need to hear that. What you want wants you. What you want wants you. So I was thinking to myself, right? Let's say certain things like pop off, things start rolling, da da da, boom, 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 and I wanted to roll a certain way. And I'm just throwing this out there, right? Because I don't have a problem with appearing one way and thinking another. If I just wanted to come to a situation, right, I would what you call professionally come like a bag man. I'd have me a little cart, all my stuff in it. I see a dude that walked by me almost every other day, and to look at him, you'd think he was nobody. Well, that's one of the best ways to move. But just like with that one move, it's 10,000 more, because that's how God give it to you. I mean, it's like unlimited. You know what I'm saying? And really, technically, when you with God, there is no opponent. Like there, I mean, it's almost like it's two football teams going against each other. Nobody want to see this, but it's like the Super Bowl of Super Bowls. And guess what? The opposing team against God is zero. It's going to be zero every single time, because God is God. Until I make the next video. Have a great day.